Welcome to the Whitetail Watch produced by Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails. These next 4 or 5 days should be the best hunting of the entire season. When we come back from break, I'll talk about why I think that and how I'm going to be hunting this magical time. Hoyt's Bowhunting Whitetails is brought to you by Redneck Blinds, Code of Silence Apparel, the Hunt Stand app, Whitetail Institute, Research equals results. B3 Archery, Muddy Outdoors tree stands, Stealth Cam trail cameras, My Outdoor TV, and Hoyt. So we have to start by looking at the estrus cycle of the does. Throughout most of the whitetails range, at least the northern 2/3 of the whitetails range, the maximum number of does in estrus peaks in the middle of November. And I can find a lot of data to support that. It's a pretty well documented scientific fact. So that's going to be the time maybe when the bucks are going to be, during the rut anyway, the hardest to pin down because they're going to be tied up with does. But leading up to that, you get this increasing number of does coming into estrus. It's like a bell-shaped curve. It goes up, peaks in the middle of November, and then drops back off again. By the end of November, the breeding is pretty much done, at least on the first cycle. So as it's ramping up, you've got a few does in estrus, and you've got a lot of bucks looking for them. So that makes this time frame really good. I think, going back to last weekend, that there were some does that came into estrus early because there was a lot of really good hunting that took place during that last 4 or 5 days of October, even more than that, the whole last week of October it seemed like. And then it kind of died down a little bit. We haven't seen near as much activity either on trail cameras or reports from other hunters. And there's almost like a little mini lull the first few days of November. But we know that the does are starting to come back in now. I'm looking at the trail camera photos on a pretty consistent basis, and the bucks are starting to show a lot more intensity in their pursuit, in their chasing, more mature bucks showing up. This is the time that we've been gearing up for ever since last year. So don't go into this coming week being cautious. You need to hunt your best stands now. You need to go into those spots that you've been saving until the time was right, because this is that time. Personally, I'm going to be going into the timber a lot more. I've been careful when it comes to that because I didn't really want to hunt the spots where I figured these deer are going to be spending most of their time before I knew that the bucks were going to be on their feet in daylight. You hate going into those spots and then educating deer before it's really going to be, like I said, before it's going to be productive. But now I think that's completely within this window. We need to be hitting the bedding areas more now. The travel areas that the bucks would use to go between 2 doe bedding areas are still going to be good, but now you can also start applying more pressure and hunting right in the doe bedding areas or the fringes of the doe bedding areas themselves. That's a spot that you really don't want to hit too early because, again, you risk bumping deer. If you go into those spots and then you run all the does out, well, it doesn't do you any good, because now the bucks aren't going to be coming there because they're looking for the does. But now it's worth taking that risk, because these are the days. These next 4 or 5, maybe up to a week, is when a lot of that really serious hunting and cruising is going to be taking place by the more mature bucks. So that's where you're going to find me, back in the timber, sitting either between 2 doe bedding areas or right on the edge of a known doe bedding area. Those are the spots. Mornings and evenings. I do think that you can hunt the evenings a little bit still out around food, but the does, they just get pestered so much by this phase in the rut that they aren't coming out as much because they come out in the open and every little buck is out there chasing them around. So they've learned to just hole up and wait until the breeding phase is over with, and then they can start to venture back out into the open to feed. So even the does are going to be staying back in the cover more. So both mornings and evenings, at least on paper, should be better back in the cover. Well, hopefully that helps you as you're setting your strategy for this weekend. I see a lot of unstable weather patterns, which kind of frustrates me. We've been dealing with that now with winds flipping every single day, changing during the middle of the night from northwest to southeast and back to northwest the next day. And you don't really get any rhythm to your hunting strategy. It looks like that's going to continue now for the next few days, but hopefully now when the weekend hits, I see potentially some more stable weather patterns, which should also help. Well, I appreciate you joining me here. Good luck this coming week. Should be a good one. And I'll see you right back here again in another week for the next episode of the Whitetail Watch, produced by Hoyt's Bow Hunting Whitetails. And remember to always dream big.